Part of that is because they're just so busy doing funerals, they're depressed, they're discouraged, and the pastors themselves have lost hope.
It's just so overwhelming.
It's
where
so
they
overwhelming. There's death everywhere. The children are coming to their doorstep every day. They don't have the food to, you know, you can imagine how overwhelmed we are. Heading into the Christmas season, we talk about shopping, the 10 days of Christmas. In January, we're all discouraged and depressed because we have these credit card bills. But we have all this stuff. There, the pastors have children who are just coming in like waves with no food, no clothing. They're being sexually abused. You know, we have children who are having sex for food.
In fact, we have a photograph of one very real little girl.
These children they're not going out, you know, we say, oh, well, you know, with the AIDS pandemic that people should use condoms and things like that, but these children are hungry and they will go and find any means to be able to eat and care for the children who are younger than them in their households.
This is a 9-year-old. That was a 9-year-old
That was a 9-year-old girl, and these children live alone. There were 9 children under the age of 10 when I found these kids, and that's their home right there. And the next picture is one of the little children within that homestead, and he's been living alone for 4 years.
Oh dear. If that doesn't tug at your heart.
It does, but we can do something. But we all have to do something. We all have to be involved. And that's one of the things we love about these beanies, because not everyone can go to Africa. Not everyone has the funds to go to Africa. Not everyone wants to give. But there's a lot of people who can start knitting. And we're looking to have 15,000 hats as we start working with these churches in Swaziland. Next year, we're going to have this big event at the National Stadium, and we're going to bus in 15,000 orphans to the National Stadium.
That's a challenge. Just go find all those children where they're living.
We're going to be working through the churches, though, and each church can bring one bus with 65 kids on it, and they'll be given a T-shirt and a blanket, and they're going to get one of these toques.
And so a real hug.
A real hug. And more importantly, that the people around the world are praying for these children now as we're preparing for this big event.
I love that everyone knitting is praying for the person, for the child who will wear that hat.
And we get stories. I mean, this is the greatest thing I think that Heart for Africa has ever done, which seems silly when we're building orphanages and things. But I got an email recently from an 89-year-old woman. Well, it was her daughter. And she said, my mother's been out of ICU for 2 weeks, and she's been very sick. She's 89 years old. She doesn't speak English. She lives in upstate Michigan. And she's made 100 hats in the 2 weeks she's been out of ICU. And she sent me a picture of her sitting in the hospital bed knitting. And I know my own mom is in Uxbridge Hospital right now. She's had a heart attack and a stroke. I know she's watching right now.
What's her name?
Her name is Bernice Willis.
Bernice, are you knitting right now? We hope so.
She's working on her left arm to get a hat knit.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Now look at the stadium. Look at where this is going to take place. There's room for all these children.
We're going to have 15,000 of them sitting on the grass there, and we have praise and worship bands from Africa as well as North America coming. And then we're going to invite the local community to come and sit. And you can see the children. I was there a few weeks ago and took some of the beanies over with me. And the kids just went crazy over them.
I almost missed you in the middle there, Janine.
That little white face there.
White face in the center. And look at the children
Imagine
praying.
having 15,000 kids together praying in the National Stadium. And the event is called Celebrate Litsemba, and Litsemba means hope. And it's all about hope. Once we've lost our hope, we've lost.
Now, I don't know if we're making this invitation for the first time, but you need 300 volunteers for that event.
I need 300 volunteers because we're going to be going out and working in the local churches during the week, helping them plant large gardens, putting in fencing, helping feed the children in the community and identify them, who they are, what their needs are, and maybe even fixing some doors and roofs and things like that for those children. And then at the end of the week, we'll be putting them on buses and bringing them to the stadium. And then we need a lot of people there to help. You know, we've got lots of systems in place and things like that, but we need volunteers to be able to come and share this event with the kids.
So you can pray, you can give, and you can even donate financially online, or you can go to Africa. Has that been a dream of yours for years and years? I can't imagine a more fun event than this is going to be.
It's going to be amazing. And we make it very easy. If you go to our website, people can fundraise. You know, sometimes people get very intimidated by going to Africa and they say, oh, am I going to be having to live in a hut? You know, we stay in a very nice hotel. The food is great. You can drink the water out of the tap. There's no malaria in Swaziland. In fact, we have 3- and 4-year-olds travel. We have lots and lots of families travel with us.
Heartforafrica.ca. heartforafrica.ca. hiv.ca if your heart is being stirred. And you know, I love the networking that's going on. We all know about the Mully Children's Home. I think you have one of the Mully sons helping you with this expanded missions outreach, farming, getting these folks self-sustaining. Tell us quickly about that.
Well, when I met the Mullys in 2003, you know, I was so overwhelmed by what they had done. Charles Mully and his family are incredible. And we have just purchased a 2,500-acre piece of land in Swaziland, and it's called Project Canaan. It's Canaan, the promised land, the milk, you know, the land flowing with milk and honey. And we're doing large-scale agriculture program there. We will have training centers and schools and anticipate having thousands of children living on the land. We've just planted our first 30 acres, and Kaleli Mully, who is Charles' eldest son, is our farm director. He has his master's in agriculture, and he's moved down with some of the graduates from the Mully Children's Family Home, and they're living on the land right now and are fully supporting the project that we're working on.
So you're nurturing farmers.
Yes, African
Young
farmers.
Farmers.
African farmers. So Africans can feed Africans.
Janine, this is so wonderful. Your first book, It's Not Okay With Me, really expressed your personal journey, your struggle to find meaning for your life and God's purpose through your life. Got Bill Clinton's attention, didn't it?
It did. He actually put it in his book called Giving as Recommended Reading. Not bad for a Canadian.
Very, very good. And what's coming in February?
February 13th, I'm launching my second book called Is It Okay With You? And we have a full endorsement from President Clinton as well as Gary Haugen from the International Justice Mission. And it's a challenge. It's saying, you know, here's what I'm doing, here's what people who've come alongside us have done because they've heard the call and they've acted. Great success stories. And and if it's not okay with you, what are you going to do about it?
Well, that's a very good note to leave us with, Janine. Maybe you'll be back with that book and you can rub it in some more. I was going to say, meantime, you need to get Jim over there preaching in Swaziland.
That's
He'll
right.
shake him up. But talk about full circle. You are going to be the speaker at the pastors' conference coming up.
It's crazy.
You were there just kind of listening and wondering, and today you are going to be bringing the message. Where's that?
It's in Swaziland in February, and I'm really glad I took notes when Jim spoke. I know they're still very relevant.
Oh. Well, if you're sitting there, we've had the 10 days of Christmas. We've been challenged to think outside the box. And, you know, we've had a lot about Africa this week. I think every day this week. But God has great plans for that continent. And surely the evidence is in his call on so many lives to go and do what they never would have expected.
That's right.
You don't miss your old life?
Not for a minute. People need to just step outside, be obedient. If you do what he asks you to do, his plans are better.
Janine, thank you for the challenge, for the great testimony. July 23rd, 2010 is the day you're praying about, perhaps knitting toward, maybe wanting to give to. It's been great to have you, Janine, and maybe we'll see you in, I don't know, you're going to be in Africa in February.
I'll be back.
Oh, we'll work it out.
I commute.